Can we go into next topic?
Yes, Miss.
So next topic is transfer. Transfer means transferring a particular patient from one place to another, or lifting a particular object, or lifting a particular object and transferring the object to another place. Okay, so two different types of transfer is there. One is transferring a patient like a human being, or transferring a object. Okay, so we will be seeing about both. Like we will be seeing how to transfer a patient and how to transfer a object. So first today we will be seeing how to transfer a patient. So in this class we will be seeing what are the types of transfer we have, and in that what is the importance of each type of transfer when we need to choose that particular transfer. So whenever we have types, then we need to decide when we are going to use that particular transfer, why we are going to use that particular transfer. Then only when a real patient is coming to you, then you will be able to analyze and decide what type of transfer will be best to that particular patient. Okay. So first we will see what is transfer. So by English, total like English language, transfer means moving a person from one place to another place. Okay. So moving a person from one place to another place is called transfer. And but like as a physiotherapist, if you see, it is not only moving a person from one place to another, it is moving a person safely from one place to another, and we need to make sure that he is safer in the next position. Okay, so it is not just lifting a object from one place and keeping on other place. When you keep on the other place, suddenly because of the table or because of the chair, the object may fall down. Okay. So like this kind of things will not be, we will not be able to accept in transferring a patient. So that's why as a PT, transferring means moving a person from one place to another and make sure that he is safer in the second position. So that is very, very important. So safety of a person is very, very important. Okay. Then another thing is transfer can be done individually by the person. That means the person needs some kind of assistance. So the assistant can be a physiotherapist, or the assistant can be a small rope, or the assistant can be a small board like that. So the transferring can be done by the patient alone, or can be done with the assistance of a person or assistance of an equipment. So the equipment can be a rope, can be a stick, can be a walker, maybe a chair, anything, something like that. Okay, so that is your transfer. So here the main thing we want to know was, first thing is the ability of a person to move from one place to another. So first thing you need to know about the ability of the person. So when you want to know about the ability of the person, then you need to see what is like ability of a person means it is not only the physical one, it is also the internal one. So the internal one means like cardiac, whether the person is stable in the heart, whether the person has good joint stability, there is range of motion, whether the person has good muscle strength and muscle tone. Okay, so all these and all also will be coming under the ability. Okay, so ability of a person in heart, in respiratory system, then in the musculoskeletal system regarding the range of motion, regarding the muscle tone, regarding the muscle strength, and not only that, it also depends on the person's balance and coordination. So, depending on all these factors only, we need to decide how to transfer a person. For example, a person is having some cardiac problem and he is in ventilator. Ventilator means the machine that is attached for respiration. So the person is depending on the ventilator. So suddenly when you are transferring the person, you cannot just disconnect the ventilator and shift the patient, isn't it? So when you disconnect the ventilator, the patient may die. So you need to see how far the person will be able to be transferred without the mission, or what is the condition of the patient. So depending on all these things only, we have to decide how to shift the person from one place to another. Is that clear? Okay. So then, so depending on all these things, you will be segregating whether you can transfer the person alone, or the person can get transferred by himself with the help of any assistance, or you need few of the people's assistant to transfer the person. So all these things, the level of the dependency or the level of the transfer, everything will be depending on the patient's all these ability. Okay, so according to this only you will be deciding. So before going into the types of the transfer, we will see some of the other aspects. So the first thing is, whenever you're transferring the patient, you need to see whether the patient has any special consideration. So special consideration means some of the patients might undergone some surgeries. So maybe the person has undergone a cardiac surgery. So when you are transferring, you need to see to that it doesn't the patient's wound or the surgical site is not getting affected. Okay, so this one you have to check. Then we need to follow certain precautions. Maybe you will not be understanding this particular point now. Later on, when you are reading about musculoskeletal and cardiac part, then you will understand this. So, for example, if they have undergone some musculoskeletal surgeries like total hip replacement, then in that particular case, the patient has to keep his legs in a particular position. So the person cannot do internal rotation. The leg has to be in externally rotated position. So like this, every surgery will be having certain precautions. So as a patient, as a person who are going to transfer, you should know all the special consideration of the related to the patient. So if he has undergone a cardiac surgery, how to transfer a person, what are the precautions you have to take? What are the precautions you have to take to how to transfer the patient without damaging the suture site or without damaging the surgical site. Then if the person has undergone any like musculoskeletal problem regarding the joint like THR or joint, any other joint replacement, whether there is any special consideration related to the position of the limbs. So all these things you have to know before deciding upon the transferring. Okay, so first thing you need to know is what are the abilities of the patient. Second thing you want to know is what they have done to the patient, and whether there is any special precautions we need to follow when we are transferring the patient. So that one we have to see. So next is what are the levels of transfer available and how to transfer a person. So uh, we have two types of transfer. One is independent transfer, another one is dependent transfer. So according to the level of transfer, we have two types. One is independent, another one is dependent. So independent transfer means the person can get transfer by themselves without any assistance. Okay, so this is called independent transfer. Okay, so the person can get up from the bed and move to the particular chair or particular area without any assistance. So that is called as independent transfer. Okay. So next is called next we have transfer with supervision. Okay, under independent transfer itself, you have something called transfer with supervision. That is, you don't need to give them any assistance, but you need to supervise them when they are getting transferred. That means you need to observe how they are getting transferred. Okay, whether they are keeping the limb properly, whether they are able to maintain the limb properly, or whether they are able to maintain the joint properly, all those things. So the PT needs to supervise the patient, but the patient will be able to get transferred by themselves. Okay, so according to the level of transfer, we have two things. One is independent transfer, another one is dependent transfer. In independent transfer, In independent transfer, we have something like the person will be able to get transferred by themselves, like how we are now. We can get up, walk to the bathroom, come back without any supervision. Okay, the next sub classification is the person needs to be supervised by the physiotherapist. Maybe for the few days whenever the patient is in the hospital, we will be supervising the patient how they are walking, how they are getting up from the bed. All these we will be supervising. So this is one kind of transfer. Okay, so these are the two types of independent transfer. Next we have is called dependent transfer. So here the patient depends on any equipment or the patient depends on any person. Okay, so the patient can depend on any object or any equipment, or the patient will be depending on any person. So that is called as dependent transfer. So in dependent transfer, we have this four types. One is sliding transfer from any position to another. So this slider is a equipment, or you can say the slider is just a object that will be helping them to transfer from one place to another. Okay, then you need some three people to carry the person from one place to another. Then you need an equipment called pivot, which will be helping them to transfer from one place to another. Then we have a bigger equipment called hydraulic lift, which will be helping you to transfer the person from one place to another. So we will see one by one. Okay. So okay, first thing is these all one person transfer, two person transfer, and three person transfer will be coming under this person transfer. Okay, so first is one person transfer, where one person will be able to lift the patient and transfer from one place to another. So the ability the patient should have is the patient should be able to weight bear in their lower limb. Okay, so the patient may not be able to get up by themselves and walk, but the patients have ability to weight bear in the lower limb. So if those kind of people, you can transfer the person by yourself, that is with one person itself. Okay, so I repeat again. Dependent transfer depends on either the person will be using any equipment or the patient will be using any person. So when you see the person, so you have one person transfer, two person transfer, three person or more person will be helping to transfer. So in that, the first one person transfer means if the person is having the ability to weight bear in the legs, then you will be able to lift the person by yourself. That is called one person transfer. So how do you do that? So how, like if you see, you will be making for example, if the person is sitting in a wheelchair, or if the person is sitting on a chair or bed, anything, and you want to transfer them to any other chair. Okay, so what you have to do is, first you have to lock the bed or lock the chair or wheelchair, whichever the patient is sitting on. Okay, lock the wheelchair or bed or any other chair, whichever the patient is sitting on. After that, you have to hold the person's waist. Okay, so after that, you have to hold the person's waist level, and the patient will be, and at the same time, you have to lock the patient's knee. Okay, so you have to hold the patient at the waist level. At the same time, you have to hold the patient's knee. Okay, so hold the patient's knee, then lift the patient. Once you lift the patient, the person will be able to weight bear in the legs. So automatically you can lift, turn the person and make them to sit in another chair. Okay, lift, turn the person and make them to sit on the other chair. So this is called dependent one person transfer. Is that clear? So I'll explain with some of the videos little later. Okay. Next is two-person transfer. So once the person is not able to weight bear in the leg, then you need two-person transfer. Because in one person transfer, once you make the person to stand, he is supposed to put the weight in the leg. If he is not able to put the weight in the leg, then you need another person's help. So in that case, what you have to do is you have to see to that the position of the chair or the bed should be at angle of 30. Okay, so the position of the chair and the bed should be at the angle of 30. So at the 30 degree angle, you have to lock the wheelchair or you can lock the chair, then you can shift the person. Okay, at that angle you just lock the wheelchair or chair, then you can shift the person. So first thing is you position the wheelchair at 30 degree along to the surface where you are going to shift. Then you lock the wheelchair. Then one person have to hold the patient's scapular. Okay, you should not hold at the armpit. If you are holding at the armpit, when you are lifting the patient might end up in shoulder dislocation. So always you have to hold at the scapular. Okay, so always hold at the scapular. Then you have to hold the person's hand in this manner. Can you see here? So in the second picture it is clearly given. You have to make sure the patient hand is folded, and with your hand you have to hold the patient's hand like this. Why? Because this particular transfer is normally done for people who are having uh, weakness in one hand or one leg. So like hemiparesis or stroke patients only, you will be doing this kind of transfer. So when you are not holding the hand, when you are lifting the patient, the hand may just hang down and it may get stuck in the chair or in the wheelchair and it may get broken. So to avoid that, what you have to do is the therapist who are standing behind has to fold the patient hand and make sure he is holding the patient hand in this manner. Okay, so one therapist who is standing behind will be holding the hand like this. The another therapist will be holding the legs in this position. So one hand under the thigh, another hand under the knee, like under the leg. So the therapist who is standing below have to hold the leg like this. Then here the therapist who is holding the hand is the leader. So whenever your two persons are transferring, one person have to be the leader and he has to lead. The other person have to listen. Okay. Then only you will be able to transfer the patient properly. And the leader should be giving the command. Command in sense, like after holding it, you have to say at the count of 3, you have to lift. Okay, then only you will be having the synchronized transferring. Otherwise you will be just transfer without synchronizing and you might leave the patient down. Okay, so the leader has to decide everything first and he has to communicate to the other person. First thing, from where to where you are going to shift. So from the wheelchair to the bed. In the bed, in which position you are going to shift. So everything the leader has to communicate to the other person. Then the leader has to say, at the count of 3, you have to lift. Once I count 3, you have to lift. Then again at the count of 1, you have to go and place the person in that particular position. Is that clear? So everything the leader therapist have to dictate to the other person. Then at the count of 3, you have to lift the patient, transfer like this and position the patient in the next position. After positioning, you have to make sure that the patient is safely stable in the second position. Sometimes what happens, you will just shift the patient to the bed, then you will turn towards the wheelchair to move that side. By the time the patient will not have balance and he might fall down off the cot. Is that clear? Because the patient will be like neurological patient. He will not have the balance or stability to stabilize himself. So you need to make sure that in the second position, the patient is safely positioned. Then only you have to turn and you have to turn to the wheelchair and move out to the wheelchair. Is that clear? So this is about the two-person transfer. Okay. So this is another position to show you. Okay, so this is another picture for you to show. Is that clear? So this is two-person transfer. I'll show you the three-person transfer and the four-person transfer little later. Next is okay, like what are the assistants you can use to transfer the patient? That is the object. So first assistance is the sliding board. So this is a sliding board. So you can use the sliding board to slide the person from one place to another. But the sliding board should be positioned in such a way that the patient new position will be lower than the first position. Then only you can slide from the board. Okay, it is nothing but because of the gravity and because of the softness of the board, the patient is just sliding and going to the other chair. Okay, so you have to make sure that the sliding board is positioned properly in the bed and in the chair. Then the sliding board is positioned in such a way that the first position will be little higher than the second position. Is that clear? Okay, I'll show you the picture. So something like this. So you can see from the wheelchair, the patient is going to the bed. So the slider has been kept under the buttock. So you need to shift the patient buttock. Make sure you insert the slider. Then slowly the person will be able to slide himself with assistance or without assistance and go to the other position. So initially he may need a support by another person. Then slowly he will be able to do individually. So here you can see the patient is doing individually. So she is getting transfer from the wheelchair to the bed. So the wheelchair will be little higher level, the bed will be little lower level. Then once the person inserts the slider under the buttock, slowly they will be able to slide and go to the next position. So this is called assistance with a slider. So you can use the slider in many of the occasions. So from a bed to the wheelchair, wheelchair to the bed, then wheelchair to the car, then car to the wheelchair, then even to the bathrooms, from the wheelchair to the bath tub, from bathtub to the western commode, all those things you can go with help of the slider. Okay, so it is not going to happen in a single day. You need to give practice to the patient. Slowly the neurological patient will be able to improve on that, then they will be able to do it. Is that clear? Okay, so this is three-person transfer. So here what you do is, you will be using a rollator. This is a rollator which will be having a rollers inside. So inside this cloth, if you see, there will be a rods which can roll in the, which can spin. Okay, actually which can spin in an axis. So there will be lot of rolls here. Okay, and the rolls will be able to spin inside the spin in over a axis. Okay, so this type of transfer is normally done from a hospital bed to a stretcher or a stretcher to a hospital bed. Normally in an operation theater, they will be doing this kind of transfer. Okay, so what they will do is, they will first turn the patient to a side to the side lying. So after turning the patient to the side lying, they will try to insert this rollers under the patient's body. Okay, so they will cover they will either they will be putting the patient over the roller without any cloth, or they can put it with the cloth like this. So here if you see, they are putting below the cloth. Okay, so they will be turning the patient to one side, then they will insert this rollers down, then again you can make the person to be supine lying. So once you make the person to be supine lying, you can just pull the cloth. Because of the rollator, the patient will be just rolling and coming to the other place. Is that clear? So when you are making the person to be on the rollators, if you just give a small push or a pull, because the rollators are rotating, the patient will be able to shift from one place to another. Is that clear? Okay, so this is your 3% transfer. Okay, so this is 3% transfer. So you can see other picture like this. So in case if you don't have a rollator, then you can also use a bed sheet as a rollator. So how to do is, you make the person to be in one side, you insert the cloth under the patient's body, then you turn the patient to the other side, you take out the cloth. Make sure the patient is over the cloth, then slowly pull the cloth so that the patient is coming to the other position. Okay, so these kind of transfers is normally done over the in the hospital inpatient wards, from the stretcher to the bed or bed to the stretcher, or normally it is done in the operation theaters. Okay, so this is 3%, or sometimes if the patient is very heavy, then 4 patient or 5 people or even 6 people will be used. So depending on the need or heavy weight of the patient, they will be choosing how many patients you need. Okay, so sometimes if the patient doesn't have any support at all, then if you want to literally lift the patient and go to the other position, then you need one patient for holding the head, one person to hold the leg, 2 person on the side, another 2 person on this side. Okay, so this way you can just lift the patient to the other bed. So it is not only 3%, it is 4%, 5% or 6% transfer also will be done in this manner. Is that clear? Okay. Next is, so this kind of transfers will be done. Okay, we will come from the first. Okay, so this kind of single person transfer will be done in case if the person is able to weight bear in the leg. In case if the person is not able to weight bear in the leg, but he is able to manage sitting position or standing position, then you will go with 2% transfer. Okay, if the person doesn't balance at all, then you will be going with 3%, 4% or 5% transfer. Okay, so depends on the patient's ability, you will decide. So slowly, once the person has become little independent, then you will be starting with the sliders. Okay, sliding board. Then slowly you will start with the pivot transfer. Okay, so I'll show you the pivot transfer now. So this slider also initially it will be taught with support. Then slowly they will be doing it without support. So this is, so as the patient is becoming more and more independent, these are the things you will do. So first is you will lift the person. Depending on the patient's body weight, you will decide whether it is 1% transfer, 2% transfer, or 3, 4 or 5 like that. Once the person is able to do it little bit by themselves, then you will introduce some equipment like sliders. Next thing is like push-up transfer. So push-up transfer is the support is given by the therapist, but remaining everything like pushing up will be given by the patient. Okay, so here first is like the therapist will be just supporting the patient. Then remaining everything will be done by the patient. So this is called push-up transfer. So you can see in the picture, the therapist is holding the waist. So you can use a therapeutic belt, or you can use the waist, or you can also use the patient's pant or something and hold the patient. The person will be giving a push and getting up by themselves. That is pushing the buttock up, then getting transferred to the other place. So this is called push-up transfer. Okay, next is pivot transfer. In this pivot transfer, like your slider, you will be using something called a pivot. So this is the green one is called the pivot. So what you will do is, you will make the person to stand on the pivot. Okay, so when the patient is sitting on the bed, you keep this pivot, make the person to keep the legs on the pivot. Then you support the waist and lift up the patient. So once you lift up the patient, this pivot will be able to rotate. Okay, so it is like a rotator, like a twister. So you can just rotate the patient and turn the direction of the person and make them to sit. So here you don't need to bear many of the patient's body weight on you, or the patient also no need to put the full body weight on the lower leg. So the patient also no need to put full body weight on the lower limb. Okay, so the patient have to just put the leg on the pivot. You will be lifting the patient little bit, then you will just rotate the pivot and change the direction and make the person to sit on the other position. So here the depending on the patient's ability, the assistance level will be varied. Whether you are going to give the maximum assistance or minimum assistance depends on the patient. So this is called stand pivot transfer. Okay. So this is also another stand pivot transfer. Even if you don't have the pivot also, you can just do it like from the wheelchair, you can just lift the patient little bit, change the direction and make them to sit down. Okay, you don't need to give much pressure on the patient's leg. You don't need to lift up the patient for too long to make her to stand. Okay, just lift, rotate and make the person to sit. So this is without the pivot. In case if you don't have the equipment, then you can do like this. So this in this case, the patient need to help you to the maximum level, and your assistance will be only moderate to minimum level. Okay, so in that time only you will be using the stand pivot transfer. So first you will give training using this. Once the patient is able to do, then slowly you will be giving training without the pivot. Okay, so that he can go back home and he can continue to practice this. So this kind of transfers and all you will be normally teaching to the patients, caretakers or assistants. So, okay, so this is like, as I said early, the bed sheet transferring using the bed sheet. So you can see three or more people will be using helping you to get transferred. Okay. So next is like wheelchair transfer. So this is again you can teach the person how to get transferred from um, the floor to the wheelchair. So you will learn in detail about this wheelchair transfers in your neurology. That is like neuro 1 you will be learning more, because there only you will be learning about stroke. So after learning that you will be learning about this wheelchair transfer. Okay, so again here depends on what are the limbs affected. In case if the person's both the lower legs are affected, then you can use this kind of transfer. Okay, if the patient's one hand and one leg is affected, then you cannot do, you have to choose some other type of transfer. So depending on the problem, like neurological problem, there are many types of wheelchair transfers. So the complete types you will be learning in your neurology 1. Okay, so this type of transfer is only for people who are having both the legs affected. So here they will not be able to weight bear in the legs. So if you want to transfer, you have to go with 2 people or 3 people or 4 people transfer only. But in the house, if the patient needs to get transferred by himself, then you can try to do this. Okay, so how is he has to lock the wheelchair, okay, slowly by giving a good support to the upper limb. So that means like the person's upper limb should be very strong. Okay, like how you will be doing push-ups, sitting push-ups, okay, sit-ups, okay, like that. So with the in the hand, the patient have to give the complete weight and he has to pull up the body to the wheelchair. So this is not done in the first day. Like after the patient's like a lot of recovery and lot of exercises. Then once the patient's upper limb is stronger, then you will be teaching them this kind of transfer. Okay, so this is like at the later stage of rehabilitation only you will be doing this kind of transfers. Okay, so you will learn more about this when you are learning Neuro 1. Okay. So here if you see, you can use a transfer belt to transfer a patient from one place to another. So in one person transfer itself, instead of using the hand over the waist, you can also use the belt. So you can tie the belt over the patient's waist, then you can just lift the patient's belt and you have to support the leg. Can you see here? This is same one person transfer. Instead of holding on the waist, you are holding the patient's therapeutic belt. Okay, then give a push and make the person to stand. The person will not be able to weight bear completely, so you will be locking the knee and helping the person to weight bear on the knee. Then you will rotate the person and make them to sit on the other surface. Okay, so this is same one person transfer only, but here they are using a therapeutic belt instead of holding, because sometimes when you want to transfer a male patient, female therapist need to transfer a male patient, or a male therapist need to transfer a female patient, then they might have difficulty when holding on the waist. So instead of holding on the waist, you can use this belt, transfer belt. Okay, it is also the trochanteric belt. You can use the same and you will be able to transfer it. So this is what I said, like whenever you're transferring the patient, you need to maintain the wheelchair from 30 degrees to 45 degrees. In case if the patient is very tall and he needs little more leg space for the leg space, then you can position the wheelchair at 45 degree. If the patient is short, then you can position the patient at 30 degree. Okay, so you need to position the wheelchair between 30 to 45 degree depending on the patient's height. So if some people will be very tall and if you are keeping the leg very wheelchair very close, they might find it very difficult to get transfer. So you need to maintain between 30 to 45 degrees. So this is called that hydraulic lift, where you can see the patient's body will be completely supported by the belt and the belt will be attached to the equipment which is high. So like a crane, it will be lifting the patient. Okay, like same like cranes, how it is lifting heavy object, same like that. The patient will be given lot of belt and it will be attached to the lift, and the hydraulic lift will be just lifting the patient. Here, what they are doing is they are trying to mimic walking for this particular patient. So this particular patient doesn't have weight bearing on the legs. So he will not be able to weight bear on the legs. So these kind of patients, what you do is you make them to wear the belt and hold the belt over the lift, and this lift is holding the patient, or it is like the patient is hanging on this, and he can just walk like he can just step on the treadmill. As the treadmill is moving behind, the patient's leg will be stepped on. Is that clear? So this is same like if a patient is in bed for a very long time, to make him to remember the walking pattern, they use this kind of lift. This is also called as body weight support or hydraulic lift. So you can also it will be of different shape and sizes. So depending on the need, you can do it. So this is one type, this is another type. So you can from the bed you have to turn the patient to one side, put this garment under the patient, then make the person to be in supine lying, then just wrap this patient's body, wrap this material. Okay, wrap it and hold it over the uh, lift. Okay, then slowly with the help of this hydraulic lift, you will be able to lift the patient from the bed or from the chair or from anywhere and you can move to any different position. You can see here. So like this, you will be able to lift the patient and move to a different position, and you can make them to lie down. So this normally is done for people who are there in bed for very long time. Okay, so for those people, you can use this. So this is the way how you need to put the patient under the sling. So you need to turn the patient to side lying, insert the cloth under the patient, then slowly turn them to the other side and bring out the material, bring out the bedsheet through the other side. So in that way, the patient will be able to lie down on the bedsheet. Then you can hold the bedsheet and lift the patient from one place to another. So that's what we do in 3-person or 4-person transfers. Okay, so these are the types of transfers. Okay, so I just summarize from the beginning. So you have two types of transfer. One is independent and the one is dependent. So in independent, you have two sub classification. One is the patient is able to one is the patient is able to one is the patient is able to do by themselves. Another is the patient needs some uh, the patient needs some what to say, the patient needs some supervision for transferring. So the patient will be transferring from the therapist will be supervising the person, how the person is keeping the leg and getting transfer from one place to another. Okay, so this is your independent transfer. In dependent transfer, you need to see whether the like you will be doing the transfer, the patient will be depending on other person or the other equipment. So depending on the need, you can either be a person or either be a equipment. So initially, always the person needs any person to help him. Then slowly you can make them to be little bit independent, and you can make them to use the particular slider or any equipment to transfer. Okay, so that is your dependent transfer. So in dependent transfer, either you will be dependent on a person or you will be depending on any equipment. So depending on a person means it can be a single person, or it can be 2-person, or it can be 3-person, 4-person, like that. Okay, so equipment means it can be a slider, it can be a pivot, or it can be any sophisticated equipments like a sling or like a hydraulic lift. Is that clear? So that is about the transfers. So these are the different types of transfers. So any doubts so far?
No, miss.
So we'll have 5 minutes break, then we will continue. Okay, so the time is 2:55. We will start the class again by 3 o'clock. Okay, don't go anywhere. Just you can stretch out your legs and continue. Okay, so while transferring, as I said early, we need to be very careful, because like we are not going to transfer an object, we are going to transfer a human being. So who needs to be who's not able to balance themselves, or who is not able to stabilize themselves. So if you just leave them down, and if the person is having any fracture or anything, they will be sue you back. Okay, and you have to pay them millions of dollars. So that is very, very difficult. So that's why you need to be very careful while doing this transfer. You need to plan before while doing this transfer. So some of the safety awareness will be including, you can use the belt, because like this belt is like, you can it is called as a gate belt or trochanteric belt or a transfer belt, everything is same. It will be made up of cotton threads, and it will be having a lock system like that is in your cars or that is in your flights and other thing. So once you lock, you have to it will not come out easily. Okay, it will be getting it will be holding you tightly. Then when you use the belt, it will not slip down. So sometimes if you are holding the patient's waist, sometimes the patient body will be just slipping down from your hand and the patient may go down. Or if you're not able to lift the patient's body weight, tolerate the patient's body weight, then the patient just will slowly they will slide down and they will fall down. So that's why you try to use this gait belt as much as possible without using your hands alone. Then you have to make sure that you're locking the wheelchair and the bed. So when you are shifting from one place to another, you can use the you have to make sure that the bed and the wheelchair are locked, because otherwise when you shift and bring the patient nearby, the bed may move behind and the patient may fall down. So to avoid that, you have to make sure the bed, wheelchair, or if you are raising a chair, everything is locked properly and it won't fall behind. Okay, so that is very very important. Then in case if you are teaching them to use a sliding board, the sliding board need to be secured properly at both the ends. There is one end it will be kept it on a bed, another end it will be kept it on another person, another area. So both the ends it has to be kept properly and it has to be secured. It is not kept it on an empty space where when the patient slides down, they may fall down. Okay, instead of sitting on a chair, they may sit on the floor. So make sure the sliding board is secured properly. Sometimes if the sliding board is not secured properly, it may slide along with the patient and it may go away of the chair or another place. So you would have seen a lot of funny videos heavy people will be sliding on a slider and they will be lifted in the air and they will fall either before the targeted place or away from the targeted place. So all these things will be all these things you need to be very careful when you are teaching the patient. Then you have to use a proper body mechanism. So I'll teach you what is a proper body mechanism. So don't lift the patient using your hands alone. If you are lifting the patient using your hands alone, then you will end up in shoulder pain, or you will end up in sometimes uh, ligament injury, or sometimes you will end up in tendon rupture and other things. So you need to use the proper body mechanism so that the therapist is not affected and the therapist doesn't get a low back pain, or the therapist doesn't end up in IVDP, disc prolapse, or any rupture, fracture, or any sprains or strains. So you need to be very careful in that. So if you're not using the proper body mechanism, and if you're treating the patient within 2 years of your experience, you will end up in disc prolapse, which will be affecting you drastically, and you need to leave the job immediately. So you need to be very careful while you are transferring the patient. Then be sure the wheelchair is closer enough to the bed. So if you are shifting a patient from wheelchair to bed or bed to wheelchair, be sure that wheelchair is kept it at a particular angle and it is closer to the bed, so that it is easy for you to just shift the patient in a very smaller area. Then lock both the feet and the knees so that the lower limb doesn't slip. So you can see here, you can see here. So the therapist is lifting the patient. Once he is lifting the patient little bit, he is locking the knee. Can you see? He has just totally locked the knee with his knee. Okay, so you need to lock the knee with your knee. Then once you lock it, automatically the patient will become erect. Okay, so the patient will become erect. Then you have to lock their feet. So can you see the patient is keeping the feet on the patient's feet? Can you see here? So this is called locking the knee as well as locking the feet. So which is very, very important. So if you don't lock, the patient may not be having balance in the leg and they may fall down. So this kind of locking will be very easy in case if the patient has hemiplegia, that is one side is affected. If both the legs are affected, then you might find it very difficult to shift the patient. Is that clear? So these are the safety awareness you need to make sure. Then whenever you are having any equipment, make sure you are using that. So like height adjustable bed, like this kind of padded leg support and other supports, like whichever is there, you need to make sure that you are using it. Don't think that you are what to say, you are a giant or you are a person. Don't think that lifting a patient alone is a heroism, and don't just try to lift the patient and get hurt by yourself. You need to be very clear in that. So always try to utilize the available resources other than your body. So your body will be the last one to be utilized, because if you keep on utilizing your body, maybe hardly after 1 or 2 years you will not be able to continue your profession because of your back pain or because of your other problems. Okay, so then we'll just quickly see what is the body mechanism, then we will come back. Okay, so this is the body mechanism. So body mechanism is, first thing is, you need to see whether your COG is balanced. That means the patient's center of gravity and your base of support, everything should be in a balanced one. So you need to stay as close to the patient so that your base of support is broader enough to support the patient also. Okay, so if you are standing away from the patient and lifting it, you will not, your base of support will be smaller and the patient will be outside the base of support. So in that case, you need to put more effort in the hands, and you need to stabilize the patient more using your hands. So which is very, very difficult. So you need to make sure that the patient is very close to you and the patient is lying inside your base of support. Then only you will be able to stabilize the patient properly. Then always bend your knees like that. So when you extend the knee, automatically the patient also will come up little bit. Okay, you don't need to bend and lift the patient. So whenever we are lifting a child, we will be bending our trunk and lifting our child. So the whole weight of the child will be in our hand, and that will be transmitted to the spine, and slowly we will get some spine problem. So to avoid that, what you have to do is, we need to bend our legs and then lift the patient. So once you bend your legs, then means once you hold the waist, so if you extend your leg, automatically the hand also will come up. That means the patient also will be lifted up. Okay, so this is very, very important. So you make sure about this one. So this is the proper body mechanism. So make sure that the patient is inside your base of support. Make sure that you lift the patient with flexed knee, so that when you extend the knee, automatically the patient will be lifted upwards. So this is your body mechanism. So if you follow all these safety awareness, then you will be able to shift the patient properly, and not only that, you will be able to transfer the patient also in a safer manner, and you will not be getting hurt in your body, and you will be able to work for a longer time. Okay. Then next. So next is, we have something like different types of transfer. So transfer in the bed, that is inside the bed. When you are lying down in the bed, you will be turning to one side. You will be turning to prone. You will be turning to supine. You will be turning to side lying. So all these are called bed mobility. Okay. So moving inside the bed is called bed mobility. Then transfer from sitting and transfer from standing. So that is called sitting transfer and standing transfer. So this sitting transfer and standing transfer only already we have seen many. Transfer from a wheelchair to bed, bed to wheelchair, or wheelchair to car, car to wheelchair. All those things comes under sitting and standing transfer. Okay, so we will see about this bed mobility alone now. So bed mobility, that is bed mobility is sometimes the patient will not be independent in the bed mobility itself. That means the patient is very weak. The patient's body is very weak. They are not able to turn themselves in bed independently. Okay, so those kind of patients also will be there where you need to assist them in bed mobility. You need to support them, you need to position them, you need to teach them how to turn, you need to teach the assistants or patient carers or caregivers to how to turn the patients, because these type of patients, if the patients are lying down in bed for a very long time, they may end up in bed sores or pressure ulcers. Because of their own body weight, the patient's body will be getting pressurized and they may get this ulcer. So that is called as pressure ulcer. Okay. Then if the patient is not positioning their legs properly or the hands properly, they may end up in joint contracture. Okay, so again, so these are the things you need to be very careful regarding the bed mobility. Okay, so you need to make sure that you are able, if the patient is not independent in bed mobility, then you need to teach the assistants or caregivers how to turn the patients in the bed. Okay, some patients will be there who will be able to turn themselves, or with mild support you have to just teach them how to turn. Okay, so you have to just teach them how to turn, or they will be using some equipment and they will be able to turn by themselves. So these patients, like what you have to teach us, so from supine lying how to come to side lying and how to sit up. So these people, they will not be able to sit up by themselves. So you have to teach them how to come to side lying and how to sit up. So how to teach them? First, the person have to be in side lying. Then they can insert the leg under the normal leg. Okay, then they have to come to one side. Then with the help of this normal hand, they have to give pressure over the bed and they have to come up. So I'll show you the video for more easier understanding. So you need to teach them the correct procedure to come to side lying, then from side lying to sitting. Okay, so you have to teach them that. So this is like later on the patient will be able to do themselves. Sometimes the patient may need some assistance to do. So the assistance can be a physiotherapist, the assistance can be assistive devices. So assistive devices are like this: bedside railings. Okay, so this is called bedside railings, or this is like trapeze. So this is called trapeze. So sometimes when they are doing when they have done a cardiac surgery, the patient cannot turn to one side. So in that case, you can use this trapeze. Okay, so that is the precaution. So patients who have undergone a cardiac surgery, they should not turn to one side. If they turn to one side, the operation site would be compressing and it would start to leak. So what you have to do is you need to make sure that you can give a equipment like this, or a belt. You can tie a belt from the lower end of the bed, and holding the rope the patient can come up, or holding the roll the patient can come up. This is called trapeze. Okay, so this is bed mobility with assistance. Okay, so you can teach the person who are able to do it by themselves. You can teach the independent bed mobility. The patients who are not able to do independently, then you have to teach them with assistance. So the assistant can be a therapist, the assistance can be a device. So device will be like this: so bedside running and trapeze. Okay, so with this helps, the person will be able to do the bed mobility. If they are not able to do the bed mobility, then the therapist should teach the assistants how to turn the patient into side lying. So this one you would have learned in your fundamental positions. How to position the patient in side lying with the pillow. How to position the patient in prone lying with the pillows. All these things you have already learned in your semester 1. Is that clear? So this is about bed mobility. The other sitting and standing already we have seen. See, some of the slides will be like little bit overlapping because it gets repeated. Okay, so that's why you will be feeling as if it is not in order. But like if you understand that, then you will understand the slides. Okay. Next is how to decide on the level of assistance needed for the transferring. Okay, so how you will decide whether you will be choosing a 1% transfer or 2% transfer. Okay, so for choosing this, you need to know what is the level of assistance needed. So normally the patient can assist, that is one person can assist if the patient's body weight is only 25% of your 25% extra of your body weight. For example, if you are 40 kgs, you can assist a person maximum with a body weight of 50 kgs only. That is 25% extra only you will be able to assist. If the patient's body weight is more than that, then you need more assistance. Is that clear? So I repeat, if the patient's body weight is only 25% extra than you, then you will be able to do a like single person transfer. If it is more than that, then you cannot do a single person transfer. So for example, if the patient's body weight is 40 kg, if your body weight is 40 kg and the patient's body weight is 50 kg, then you can do it because it is only 25% extra. But if the patient's body weight is 100 kg and you are 40 kg, you cannot transfer the patient individually. You need an assistant. So this is the first point you have to keep in mind. Second is there is no heroism in transferring a patient. Don't lift the patient individually and think you are a hero. Okay, you will be hurting your back. So try to use as much of as assistance from the patient as well as from the any other devices. So this is the second thing. Next is like you have something called minimum assistant, maximum assistance, and moderate assistant. So if the therapist is providing 25% of the patient's work, then it is called as minimal assistance. Okay, so if the patient is putting 75% of work and you are putting 25% of work, then it is called as minimal assistance. Okay, if the patient is putting 50% effort and you are putting 50% effort, then it is called as moderate assistance. Okay, then if it is like 75%, if the therapist is sorry, if the patient is putting 25% of assistance and you are putting 75%, then it is called as maximum assistance. Okay, maximum assistance you are giving. There are few more types of transfer. Uh, Generally, we saw it as therapist supervised, isn't it? So this is one of the contact guard therapist supervised. So here, what you do is you just keep your hand as a guiding support. Okay, you just touch. You don't do anything. Okay, you just touch the patient with your hand. So that is called as guiding. Okay, that is called as contact guard. So you are giving a contact guard assistant. Okay, you are giving a contact guard assistant. So this is one of the therapist supervised independent transfer. Okay, so one of the therapist supervised independent transfer. So if you are not touching the patient but just standing close by, it is called as close guarding assistance. So you're not touching the patient, but just keeping the hand in such a way that you are able to support the patient immediately. Then it is called as close guarding assistant. This is also one of the okay. Uh, so this is like one of the classification of therapist supervision. Okay, close guarding, where you will be standing closer to the patient, but you will not touch the patient. Is that clear? Then there is something called standby. That is, you will stand by, but with not too close. So you will be just standby. So that means you will be in a position that you will be able to hold the patient if he is falling down. Okay, so this is called as standby. So the patient can perform activities without assistance. The therapist will be standing nearby supervising. So this is another type of PT supervision. Okay, so these are the three types of physiotherapist supervision. One is you will touch the patient as a close guard. Okay, so that will be helping you to that will be giving them a moral support, and the patient will be able to do everything by themselves. You will be standing close by in a position that you can hold them anytime if they fall down. Okay, this is just standby as an assistant. So these are the three types where you call it as therapist supervision. Then there are certain rules that you have to follow when you are doing this transferring. One thing is body mechanism. Okay, that is very very important. If you don't follow the body mechanism properly, then you will be if you don't follow the body mechanism properly, then you will not you will be ending up with back pain. You will be ending up with any fracture or any other problems. So you need to be very careful on this. Okay, then another thing is like whenever you are transferring a patient, you need to make sure you read the medical diagnosis and you read the records properly, because sometimes the patient might have taken some medications which may be so that the patient will be sleepy, so that the patient may not be able to listen to you carefully, so that the patient may not be follow your guidance. So some medications will have some side effects. So you need to read the case sheet properly, read the diagnosis properly, then decide, plan the proper transferring. Because sometimes like a neurological patient, once they will be normal. Mm, 1 minute. லைப்ரரி நீங்க இதை எடுத்துட்டு போறீங்களா? கால் பண்ணிட்டு இது பண்ணுங்க. நீங்க கால் பண்ணி சொல்லுங்க, உங்களை அங்க வந்து நிக்க சொல்லுங்க. அவளை சொல்லி சொல்ல சொல்லுங்க. So the sometimes like this neurological patient, we will not be able to decide how they are. One day they will be very alert, another day, next day they will not be alert at all. So you might be thinking yesterday she was able to stand or put weight bearing properly in the legs. Suddenly today she would not have been able to. So these are the things you need to read the case sheet properly, check before transferring the patient. Because like I have an experience like this. So that was a neurosurgery patient. They have done a surgery in the brain, and daily I used to give the patient walking, and the patient will be holding the parallel bar, and the patient will be walking by herself. Suddenly one day, like because of her medicines, the patient was very dull in sense like she was not alert enough. So she was walking in the parallel bar. Suddenly in the middle of the parallel bar, the patient just collapsed, and I was not able to hold the patient because suddenly she was not able to weight bear in the legs. So that's why you need to be very very careful. You have to prepare properly before transferring the patient. Okay, so read the case sheet, understand about the medications, understand the level of the function, whether that particular day the patient is alert. All those things you have to check properly. Then only you have to transfer the patient. Okay. Then third is like selecting a transfer. So as I said, whenever you are selecting the type of transfer, we need to select according to the ability of the patient. So first you need to see what is the ability of a person, whether the patient's cardiac system is good, whether the patient's respiratory system is good, whether the patient's musculoskeletal system is good, like range of motion, mobility, the patient is able to have muscle strength, muscle tone. All these are very much important. So based on this only, you have to select the type of transfer. Okay, then you don't think that daily the patient will be in the same level. So the neurological patient, they may not be in the same level. So daily you need to check their ability before transferring the patient. Okay, so that is very important. Before choosing the type of transfer. Okay, so these are the three essential points you need to keep in mind. That is body mechanism. This is to safeguard yourself. Okay, next is preparation. So why you need to prepare? You need to know what is the level of the patient. So daily the patient's level might change. So you need to be very alert on that. Then next is uh, uh, patient's ability. So which is very important to choose your type of transfers. Okay. Then another thing is, as I said early, do not compromise on the safety of the therapist as well as the patient. That is, both of you are more important. It is not that the patient alone. It is a therapist safety is also very important. Okay, so you don't think if you are safeguarding the patient and if you are falling down, it is okay. It is not like that. So both the patient as well as the therapist safety is very important, and we cannot compromise on that. So then, whenever there is assistance, whenever you require assistance, don't compromise on that. You have to get assistance. Maybe the assistance is from the patient itself. Maybe the assistance is from the family members or any other assistance. Do not do any heroism. Okay, you're not here to just lift the patient and move around, not like that. So get the assistance whenever required and whenever you need it. Then you need to make sure that the patient is not exceeding 25% of your body weight. That means if you are 100 kg, you can lift only patient with 125 kgs. If they are 200 kgs, then you cannot lift the patient alone. Okay, so you cannot exceed 25% of your body weight. Then always secure the wheelchair, bed or anything properly and use proper mechanism to reduce the possibility of injuries. So these are very much important. Then next thing is, whenever you are using two people or three people, then you need to select one leader. One of them have to be the leader, then other persons have to listen to them. Okay, it is not who is being a leader, it is like decided by the group. So if three people are lifting, then one people will suddenly say that I will be leading. So at the count of three, you have to lift the patient. At the count of two, you have to keep the patient in this position, like that. So one of them have to be the leader and they have to explain the whole procedure to the other people. They should not merely think that he is also a therapist, so he will be knowing how to lift the patient. It's not like that. Sometimes some of the therapists may have some other idea. Okay, so if you, for example, you are having two wheelchairs. Okay, so you are thinking to shift the patient to one of the wheelchair which is on the right side, and the other person is thinking to shift the patient to on the left side. Then you just think one of you will be pulling the patient to the right, another person will be pulling the patient to left. So you have to avoid all these kind of confusions. So you have to explain the procedure even if they know about it. Okay, so clearly explain the procedure. Then encourage the patient to get involved. So for example, if the patient has little bit of muscle power, encourage him to use the muscle power. So for example, if he is able to put his weight in the hand and he is lifting, able to lift the buttock little bit, encourage him to do that, so that he will be helping you little bit to insert the slider or to insert the cloth, something like that. So if the patient has some ability, utilize the ability. If you do not utilize the ability, then the patient, the usage, the ability will just go in vain. Okay. So that is very, very important. Then another thing is get closer to the object to be lifted. So that's why I said the base of support, your base of support should hold the patient inside that. Okay, so it should not be away. So you should be like, you should, it should be closer to the, like you should be closer to the object. Is that clear? So that is very, very important. Okay, so then another thing is you need to make sure that you are in a walk standing position, so that you have a very stable position and you have a broader base of support, and hold the object or hold the patient strongly so that they don't slip down. So that is very another important. So to hold the object strongly, you can use a belt. Okay, so you can just see here. So this is a belt. So instead of belt, if you are just using the patient's pants, then the pants may tear off. The pants may slip down. So it's better always to use a belt instead of the patient's material. Then even if you are doing a pivot transfer, you can use a belt, and you can wrap around the patient as well as your body, so that you will be closer in contact, as well as you will be able to stabilize some of the patient's body weight with your body. Instead of completely on your hand, you can just little bit, you can put it on the patient, put it on the belt and yourself. Okay, so you can wrap the belt around the patient as well as yourself, so that it is easy for you to hold it. Okay. So this is your trochanteric belt or gate belt, or it is also called as transfer belt. Okay, so it is same like our flight belts, where if you press it will get locked. Then if you want to unlock, you have to lift the button. Otherwise, it will not get unlocked. Then, so verbal instructions are very, very important. So as I said early, one of them have to be a leader, and one of them have to give instruction, and they have to keep on guiding the others, so that they are able to understand you. Then whenever you are giving the instruction, be very clear. Don't think that the others will be able to understand your body language. It is not like that. Open your mouth and give a clear instruction, and open your mouth and talk to them properly. Then only you will be able to transfer the patient without any problem. Okay, so some of the comments will be like that. I will count to 3, then give the command to lift. So when I say lift, we lift together. When I say leave, we need to leave it together. So okay, so like this you have to give the command properly, and you have to talk loudly and give the command, so that the other person is not getting confused, and they are able to do it as per your instruction. The next is bend the knees at the start of the lift, so that when you extend, automatically you will be able to use your body to assist in lifting. Okay, and lift slowly and smoothly, because it is a living object. It is not an object. It is a living person. So you cannot just lift and throw them or put them down. Okay, sometimes they will be getting hurt. Maybe they are not in a position to tell you. Maybe they are not able to talk to you properly, but they will be having pain and they may get hurted. So you need to lift slowly and smoothly, and you have to avoid any like so avoid any miscommunication and avoid any accidents. Okay, so this is very, very important. So whenever you have any assistant, make use of them. Okay, and the last thing is the transfer is not complete until the patient is safe and secured in the new position. So as I said earlier, so you transfer a patient from a wheelchair to the bed. You make him sit in the bed, then you turn and you start to push the wheelchair. Okay, suddenly the patient might have sitting at the edge of the bed and she might fall down. Okay, so this is not a proper transfer. So proper transfer is you need to make sure the patient is safe and secured in the new position. That is very, very important. Is that clear? So this is about transfer. Okay, so any doubt?
No.
What is this? IOINI bucket? Can somebody translate? Is there any doubt or anything?
No, miss.
What is the meaning of the sentence? Okay. Instead of sending SMS, you have sent here. Okay, so the next topic, lifting of object, we cannot finish it in 15 minutes. So I think we will better take it in a new day. If I take it now, like hardly I can explain only 3 or 4 slides. Okay, so I will take it in the next class. Then I will show you some videos regarding this transfer and other things. Okay. So tomorrow is a public holiday. So we will not be able to have class. So we will have it on Friday. Friday afternoon we will have class. Okay. Then 20th, whether anybody has confirmed a class, or are you free on 20th?
You mean Monday, Miss?
Yes, Friday afternoon I will take class because Friday morning I have a Senate meeting. So Friday afternoon I will take class. Then Monday, are you free anytime?
We got kinesio 8 to 10, and then electro 2 to 3 p.m. And other times it's free.
Free, right? So can we take? Okay, I'll see. Like I will confirm the timing. Can we take Monday 10 to 12? Morning is better, right? Is that okay?
I think can, Miss.
Okay.
Yes.
So Friday we will have 2 to 4. Okay. Then Monday we will have 10 to 12.
Okay,
Miss.
Miss.
Okay, Miss.
Okay. Thank you all. If you have any doubts, then you WhatsApp me.
Okay, miss. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank you, miss.
Thank you.